Video games in the 90s were very different than the games of today. Developers had more creative freedom to be crude, organic, and especially politically incorrect. In my opinion, that raw experience is part of what made video games so appealing to gamers in the 90s, and Final Fantasy VII was no exception in this regard. This is Radical Edward for Less Than Epic, and today I'd like to take a look at some of the grittier elements from the original Final Fantasy VII, which are likely to be removed in the remake. As we get started here, remember that this video is just for fun, and that offense can only ever be taken, never given. Kicking off number 5 on my list, Cloud will be dressing up as a girl. That much is confirmed. However, many other parts of the wall market scene may be removed due to the grittier subject matter encountered there. Spoiler warning, the entire plot of Wall Market is that Don Corneo is collecting pretty women to be his bride, the remainders of which will go to his henchmen as literal unpaid prostitutes. That's pretty dark, even by 90s game standards, but let's move on to number 2 on my list. Date night. Oh boy, does date night have some politically incorrect elements. Date night in Final Fantasy VII is an event in the Gold Saucer where Cloud goes on a date with either Aeris, Tifa, Yuffie, or Yuffie, however you want to pronounce it, or Barrett. There is one big glaring problem with this whole scenario, however. Yuffie is underage. Whoops. In my opinion, story is story, and while it's sad, sometimes underage encounters happen in the real world, and thus it shows up in our stories. Do I think this grittier element will make the Square Enix cut, however? Probably not. Moving on to number 3 on my list, Tifa's tits. That's right, they're back in all of their HD glory. Or are they? There's no doubt that in the original Final Fantasy VII, Tifa Lockhart contributed to many young men's first experiences, as she had quite the shelf going on back in the day. Tifa's popularity made her one of the original triggers for many gamers and mostly non-gamers alike. And while I personally see no issue with a large meloned missus making an appearance in my vidya, I am almost certain that Square Enix will cave to the cult of political correctness and just remove the issues, plural. They've already shown that they're fine with performing breast reduction on poor Miss Lockhart and Advent children, and it's more than likely they'll commit the same atrocity in the remake so as not to cause frustration. Moving on. The next piece I think may be cut is all the swearing. It's no secret that the English translation of Final Fantasy VII was less than epic, but that wouldn't explain all of the grittier dialogue we were treated to in the game. Barrett especially spoke in a very simple, direct, and aggressive language, often using slang and swears in his dialogue. For us players, it was part of his charm and depth as a character, especially contrasted with the fact that Barrett was possibly one of the most passionate and loyal characters in the entire game. However, for a video game company in current year, it's basically suicide to have grittier and more realistic characters, even if the game is a work of fiction. And it's for this reason I am very doubtful that the grittier dialogue will make its way into the remake. And the final point on my list of content which is likely to be removed in the Final Fantasy VII Remake, will Marlene still be left alone to run a bar in the slums? On the second bombing mission in Final Fantasy VII, Marlene Wallace, young adopted daughter of Barrett Wallace, is left alone to run Tifa and Barrett's bar in the slums. Though her true age in the game is unknown, Marlene can be no older than 10 years old at the time of the bombing events in Final Fantasy VII. There's definitely some speculation that Barrett is having someone watch after the girl, but if he is, they definitely didn't show it in the game. Hilarious as it may be, it's unlikely that Square Enix will leave this plot point the same in the remake in my opinion. Obviously, and this should go without saying, this video was just meant to be a bit of fun as we await more information about the remake. Honestly, I hope Square Enix decides to keep the grittier elements of the original Final Fantasy VII intact as, in my opinion, they really flesh out the world of the game. 7 wouldn't be what it was if it didn't have those juicier and more problematic bits. So let's hope that Square Enix feels that way as well for the remake. And don't forget to let me know below, what problematic content do you think Square Enix will be removing from the Final Fantasy VII Remake? And I'll be continuing to cover the Final Fantasy VII Remake right here on Less Than Epic. So thanks for watching everyone, If you like the video, then like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that little bell icon so you get notified when our videos go live. This has been Radical Edward for Less Than Epic, signing out.